Now that we are back from the 2022 Mother Road Tour, it is time to sit down and do some soul searching. This year's trip was both amazing and challenging at the same time. In short, it was a real adventure. The first part of this more than 11,000-mile ride was to travel down Route 66 on the way to meeting our wives in Las Vegas, Nevada. The idea was to travel as much of the original roadway as possible, and along the way stopping to see the roadside oddities and attractions which dot the route. Ultimately, we ended up making some changes on the fly due to weather, traffic, and being exhausted. While this was a grand idea to follow every possible inch of the original Route 66, after doing this trip, I would suggest that you pick and choose the sections of the route that you want to ride and the things that you want to see. There is, of course, nothing wrong with trying to travel as much of the original route as possible, but be prepared. You will go through some heavily congested areas as well as some very run-down and often depressing sections as well. It is all part of the Route 66 experience. Now, if you're interested in how Kevin and I planned this trip down Route 66, you can go to my website at www.livingofftheslab.com. and you can join one of our paid memberships for as little as $2 per month. There you will get access to the 23 trip planning videos for 2022, as well as the daily update videos that we made along the way. If I was to do this ride again, I would spend more time finding the great roads that exist off of Route 66, like those that we did while traveling through Missouri. That day turned out to be one of the best rides of the trip. One of the things we decided to skip was downtown Chicago. This, of course, means that we were not able to take a picture of the sign marking the beginning of Route 66. But that is okay. I think we actually got to see Chicago from a much better vantage point, and that is while visiting Indiana Dunes National Seashore across Lake Michigan. Now, of course, there were a number of things along the course of Route 66 that we really enjoyed seeing. Here's a few of them. First, Old Joliet State Prison. This was surprisingly cool to walk around, learn, and experience. We really enjoyed this stop, and it was well worth the $20 admission fee. The second thing was Pontiac, Illinois, the Route 66 History Museum, and the murals that exist within Pontiac. Pontiac has done a great job with the museum and the murals. For me, this is where the Route 66 experience really started. Another thing that I really enjoyed stopping at was the Launching Pad Diner to see the Gemini Giant. You just have to stop and take a picture with the Gemini Giant, and of course. And I'll tell you what, the Chicago dog that I got at the Launching Pad Diner, well, it was fantastic, and the prices were very reasonable. All right, Kevin, so we're sitting here at the Launching Pad Diner in Wilmington, Illinois, home of the Gemini Giant. Do we feel like we're on Route 66 now?
We sure do. We finally got here. Now we're on the road.
All right.
On the road.
Another great thing to see is the Abraham Lincoln Presidential Library. While not the best presidential library I have ever visited, they do a very good job of presenting a very tumultuous and important time in our nation's history. Another museum that I thought was very cool is the Lewis and Clark Historical Site in the state of Illinois. This is where Lewis and Clark actually wintered and then departed on their Corps of Expedition trip. It was a very educational stop. I learned a lot about the Lewis and Clark expedition that I did not learn in high school. Another cool stop was the old Chain of Rocks Bridge. Now, we didn't get to walk all the way across the bridge because, well, it was closed for some repairs, but it was a cool stop, and if I was going to go back and do it again, I definitely would want to walk out all the way across that bridge. And of course, you just can't go down Route 66 with stopping at Henry's Rabbit Ranch. It is just such a weird and wacky stop. You gotta do it. Another thing that Kevin and I really enjoyed was stopping at Merrimack Caverns in Sullivan, Missouri. It was really a great tour, and it was nice to get out of the hot sun and down in some of those cool caves. And another thing you have to do while traveling Route 66 in Illinois is to stop at the Uranus Fudge Factory. It is just great to go in there, do all of the crazy Uranus puns, listen to them welcome you to Uranus, and of course buy some of the fantastic fudge that they have. Kevin, you know it's coming and everybody else knows it's coming.
I know.
Right, we're at the place you've been waiting for.
We're at the slideshow.
We're going into Uranus. Another iconic stop would be the Cadillac Ranch outside of Amarillo, Texas. Again, it's just a must-do. You've got to stop and, of course, bring your spray paint. A surprisingly interesting stop was the Devil's Rope Museum in McLean, Texas. They've really done a great job of presenting the history of barbed wire and cattle ranching in the area. One of the things that Kevin and I really enjoyed while traveling Route 66 was the stop at the Petrified Forest National Park. It's just absolutely gorgeous in there, and we had a great day walking and hiking in the park. And also in Arizona, you can find Standing on the Corner Park in Winslow, Arizona. This is just a fun stop that, especially if you're a music or an Eagles fan, you have to see. And Winslow has really done a great job of building up the downtown area and adding some restaurants and other attractions for tourists. The third stop in Arizona would be Meteor Crater National Monument. This is definitely worth the ride off the highway and the time to take the tour. One of my favorite sections of Route 66 to ride was the highway going into Seligman, Arizona. And of course, once you get into Seligman, you have all of these cool shops and restaurants where you can go in, pick up some Route 66 souvenirs, and grab a great lunch. And our final stop in Arizona and on Route 66 would be the Powerhouse Museum in Kingman, Arizona. Of all the museums that are out there, the one that is in Pontiac and then this one in Kingman are the two that I would suggest that you stop at. All the other ones along the way, they do good jobs of presenting the history of their communities, but these are the two most interesting, at least for me. Now, of course, one of the cool things about traveling Route 66 is trying to find some of that great road food. And for me, here are the top 6 places that I really enjoyed eating. First, there's a taco truck restaurant in Pontiac, Illinois. Absolutely amazing street tacos. Then there's the Launching Pad Diner in Wilmington, Illinois, again for that great Chicago dog. And then Jubelt's Diner in Litchfield, Illinois. Great breakfast and a really cool place to stop. And of course, there's Missouri Hicks Barbecue in Cuba, Missouri. And the Big Texan Steak Ranch in Amarillo, Texas. And I think this is still the #1 place to eat along Route 66. I got a ribeye there that was just absolutely amazing. And lastly, there's the Roadkill Cafe in Seligman, Arizona. I had chorizo and eggs that was just incredible, and they have the best home fries that I have ever had right there at the Roadkill Cafe. There are, of course, many roadside attractions along the route, and we did not stop at all of them. Here are a few that I found interesting, along with those previously mentioned. Again, I suggest that you do a little research and make a list of the things that you want to see before you leave. Now, for me, there were a number of gas stations along the way. I'm not going to list all of them here, but some of them were very interesting to stop at. Again, you can pick and choose. The Hot Dog Giant in Atlanta, Illinois, well, that was pretty cool. The Red Rocker in Fanning, Missouri, I also enjoyed seeing, and making a Sammy Hagar pun, of course. And then there's Cars on 66 in Galena, Kansas. And then there's the Round Barn in Arcadia, Oklahoma, and the Blue Whale in Catoosa, Oklahoma. After leaving Kingman, Arizona, we left Route 66 and headed to Vegas, so our Mother Road experience was over at that point. We had planned on returning to the route after leaving Vegas, but of course, issues with my effing BMW forced us to change plans. All in all, we had a good time on Route 66. Some of it was what we expected, but other things were a bit disappointing. Primarily, these were the depressed areas and the heavily trafficked areas that I mentioned earlier. As I mentioned at the beginning of this video, if I had to do this again, I would be more selective about the things we chose to see and not worry so much about riding all of the old highway. There are many great roads just off the official Mother Road of Route 66, such as the ones we rode through Missouri, and I would seek out more of those kinds of experiences. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you are interested in the planning process for this trip, or you want to get more details on debriefs, you can become a supporting member for as little as $2 per month. You will get to see all of my YouTube videos ad-free before everyone else does, as well as you'll get additional content that I post to our exclusive members forum. You will also get access to some of the tools that I have created over the years to make route planning a little easier. For example, I have recently uploaded an ebook or white paper covering some of the things I have learned about packing. Check these out. You can visit my website at www.livingofftheslab.com. Thanks for watching, and of course, continue to ride safely.